Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make another version of a halter top. We already have a halter top in the waffle stitch, but that halter top was creating increases on the edges. This time we're going to create increases within the pattern itself in the middle of the stitches, and this is going to create a very beautiful effect as well as a better fitting, especially for the larger sizes. This top can be matched with our previous waffle stitch crochet booty shorts that already have a tutorial as well as a written pattern, but the top can also be matched with our previous waffle stitch skirt. So whichever you want to match it up with, please go ahead and try to recreate these designs. So for the materials, I used milk cotton yarn and I used approximately 4 balls for the size extra small, small, medium. And then for size large, extra large, 2XL, I believe you add a total of about 2 balls because this won't be enough for you. Your instructions are going to be a little bit different. So for this pattern, I'll categorize the sizes as you'll be seeing on the screen. We shall make 2 sizes. They're going to just be 2 sizes and they should be able to create a very good fitting for the sizes in those categories. So 4 balls of yarn for the very first size, and then approximately 6 to 7 balls for the next size, and then a 4mm crochet hook, a darning needle, and a measuring tape plus a pair of scissors to cut off your loose ends. So I'm going to be explaining both sizes within the video. I'm going to first explain the smaller size, and then as we go along, I will be explaining the next size as well. So we're going to start off with a slip knot. Guys, if you would like the written pattern, it's already available on all my online shops. That includes Coffee, Ravelry, and on my website. So we are starting off with a slip knot. We're going to make a chain of 29 for the smaller sizes. For the larger size, the second size, you're going to do a total of 35 stitches or chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have my 29 chains, guys, and you're going to go into the 3rd chain from the hook. So whether you have 29 chains or 35 chains, you're just going to go into the 3rd chain from the hook. So you count 1, 2, and into the 3rd, you're going to place a double crochet. And this pattern is explained in the US terms. Now you're going to go all the way across the foundation chain with 1 double crochet in each and every chain. Another thing that you should note about this pattern is that the chain 2 at the beginning of the row doesn't count as a stitch. Keep that in mind. So double crochet in each and every chain. And for the smaller sizes, you should end up with a total of 27 double crochets. For the larger size, you should end up with a total of 33 double crochets. All right, so we've come to the end of the row and I'm placing my very last double crochet into the last chain. This is what you should have for row 1. Row 2, you're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then you're going to turn your work. You're going to go into the very first stitch that's attached to the chain 2, and you're going to place a double crochet. And then front post double crochet into the next stitch. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. 1, and then 1 into the next stitch. And then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet into the next stitch. So a front post is yarn over, insert your hook, under the next stitch and push it to the front, and then work your double crochet as usual. This should push the stitch to the top, as you can see these ones. So you're going to repeat that all the way across. All right, so we're almost coming to the end of the row, and this is what you should have. You can see every after 2 stitches, there's a stitch that pops, and this is the side that's going to get the waffle stitch effect. And we are almost coming to the end of the row. I'm placing a front post double crochet into the second last stitch, and then into the last stitch, you're going to go in there with 1 double crochet. And that marks the end of row 2. You should have the same exact number of stitches as you had for row 1. So that is a total of 27 stitches for row 2. And for the bigger sizes, you should be having a total of 33 stitches. Now, row 3, you're going to make a chain of 2, turn your work, and then double crochet into the very first stitch, the one attached to the chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch, and then front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and then 2, just like that. And that's the repeat for this row. 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. All right, so we're going to go all the way across doing this until towards the end of row 3. And I'll show you how to wind up. So this row is worked on the wrong side of the work. All right, so we're coming to the end of the row, and here I've placed my 2 front post double crochets, then 1 double crochet into the second last stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the very last stitch. And that marks the end of row 3. All right, so for row 4, we're just going to repeat row 2. So you make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, turn your work, 1 double crochet into the very first stitch, just like that, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. All right, so go all the way across and finish up this row 4. And I'll show you what to do at the end of the row. So remember, this is the side that creates the waffle stitch, and at this point you should have already started seeing the waffle stitch forming. So I'm placing my last front post double crochet of row 4 and then 1 double crochet into the very last stitch. Row 5, we're going to repeat row 3. So make a chain of 2, turn your work, and then double crochet into the very first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So go all the way across. So the instructions for row 5 are the same exact instructions for row 3. And we haven't yet started increasing. So from this row, from the next row, we're going to start increasing and creating that halter shape for our top. So finish up row 5 and I'll show you what to do next. Alright, so we've come to the end of row 5 and we're placing 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 stitches of row 5. So some of you guys may be wondering, oh, we are making a halter top, but we are not seeing any kind of shaping to create the coverage for the bust. So just keep following the instructions. It will come to life. So this is the level at which we are for all the sizes, both the smaller size and the bigger size. This is row 5, sorry. 5 rows of the waffle stitch should get you to the wrong side of your work. Now row 6, we're going to start creating the increases to create coverage for the bust. So you're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work. So whatever size that you're making for. So you're going to go into the very first stitch with 1 double crochet. This is our increase row. And we're not increasing on the edges. This time the increases are going to be within the row. So that's why we're placing only 1 double crochet in the very first stitch. And then we're going to go into the next stitch with 1 front post double crochet. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And then we are going to create an increase at this front post double crochet. So for those people who have tried out my waffle stitch crochet collection that includes increases, for example, the pants, the sizable skirt, the the turtleneck, the raglan, all those projects have that increase. So I'm going to teach you how to do that here. You're going to place a front post double crochet into the next stitch. And then 2 double crochets into the top of the same stitch, 1 and 2, and then front post double crochet into the stitch that got the front post double crochet before, just like that, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and then 1 front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets. So yarn over and go to the back and create a front post double crochet into the same stitch with the 2 previous front post double crochets. So we've created an increase here, and you're going to go into the next stitch with 2 double crochets and then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. So we've just created an increase at this point. And then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And then create another increase here. So basically we are creating an increase here and then here we just place one, then we create an increase here, here we just place one, we create an increase here, here we place one, we create an increase here. So I hope this makes sense. All right, so let's go ahead. We haven't placed an increase here along this line. So that means the next one will create an increase, just like we did for this increase. We place a front post, 2 double crochets into the same stitch, 1 front post double crochet in the previous stitch with the front post double crochet, 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet in the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets, and then 2 double crochets into the next, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. So you can see how the increases look like. They look like they have 3 stitches popping on top. So far we have a total of 1 and 2 increases. So after this front post double crochet here, you place 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then do the increase again. Front post, 2 double crochets, front post. Just see what I'm doing, because by now you should be knowing how to make the increase. Then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and then front post, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and then front post double crochet in the next stitch. So far we have a total of 1, 2, and 3 increases along row 6, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to create an increase here. So front post, 2 double crochets into the same stitch on top of it, then front post, 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and then front post, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And so far we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 spots of increase. And then from here you're going to make a front post double crochet into the second last stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the very last stitch. So this is what your work should look like for the smaller sizes. Now if you're doing for the larger sizes, you should be having a total of 5 spots of increase. Just make sure you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and another increase. So you should have a total of 5 increases for the larger size. For the smaller size, this is what we have. Now we are going to keep working row 3 and 4. These are non-increase rows, so make use of the timestamps. Row 3 is going to resemble row 7 is going to resemble row 3, and then row 8 will resemble row 4. We're going to keep alternating between rows 3 and 4 until we have a total of 9 rows after the increase row, and I'll meet you back at that point. So for example, for row 7 you're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work, and then 1 double crochet into the very first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So you should make sure that you maintain the waffle stitch effect. Make sure you don't distort that arrangement of the stitch, otherwise it will show. So you're going to do that all the way across, and this is what your work will look like on the right side. Everything will play out beautifully later on, but for now we're still creating coverage. And as you can see, for those people who are worried about this piece not extending sideways, it's going to work out by itself. So keep repeating rows 3 and 4 until you have a total of 9 rows after the increased row, and I'll meet you back at that point. Alright guys, I had to make a very small sample. Don't mind the number of rows before the increased row. This is what the larger sizes should be having. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 spots of increase, as opposed to the smaller sizes that have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So this one was just a small sample to just show you what your row 6 will look like for the larger sizes. This is what it will look like. And now let's go back to lengthening, doing our 9 rows of no increases, and then I'll be back to show you what mine will look like. Alright guys, after making your 9 rows, after the increased row, remember the increased row is here, so we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes and a half, which makes a total of 9 rows after this increased row that we had here. So after your 9 rows, we are now going to create another increased row. So you're going to repeat this for all the other sizes. After your 9 rows, after the increased row, we are going to create another increased row. So we're going to get stitch markers. Mine are here, and you're going to mark every front post double crochet in that line of increase. Remember, the increase part is here, so you can see the middle double crochet, the middle front post double crochet. So along that line, you mark that stitch. And the stitches you mark are the points where you're going to create increases. So along that line, along this line, and along this line. This is where we're going to be creating our increases. As you can see, before we had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 points of increase, and that's the same exact thing that we have at our next step of increasing. The number of increases shouldn't increase, so they should remain the same, and this is going to differ for the different sizes. If you did a bigger size, definitely you're going to have more points of increase. So we're going on to our next row. Let me first count and see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on row 16 at the moment. So for row 16, I'll just make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. And this is worked on the right side of the work. So 1 double crochet into the first stitch, and then a front post double crochet. Then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then front post double crochet. And then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And now we've reached that stitch that has the stitch marker. You're going to just remove it and then create an increase at this point. I hope you still remember how to do that. I'm going to demonstrate. 1 front post into the stitch that had the stitch marker. On top of that same stitch, you're going to place 2 double crochets. 1 front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous front post double crochet. 2 double crochets into the next stitch. 1 front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets. So yarn over, go back into the same stitch and place a front post double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. So we are going to go back to our previous pattern of 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then a front post double crochet into the next stitch. This creates a normal waffle stitch before you get to the increase points. Now 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now we've reached this part, we've reached the stitch with the stitch marker. You're going to just remove it, and then create an increase as we have done at the previous point. So I have already explained the increase, that's why I'm not explaining it here. I'm just showing you what to do so that you can cross-check and make sure you're doing the same exact thing. So if we are done with the increase at this point, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. So you can see this point and this point here. And then you are going to go back to your waffle stitch until you get to your next increase point. And that's all that we are going to do for this row. So I'm creating my last increase into the last increase point. All right, so we are ending our row with a normal double crochet into the very last stitch. So along this row, we have created increases at different points, as you can see here. And now we're going to go back to repeating rows let me see. So you're going to keep alternating between rows 3 and 4 again and again until you have a total of 9 rows after this increase row. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back to show you what my work will look like at that point. So your work is going to keep spreading out in order to create a bust coverage, to create room to cover the bust of your top. So a total of 9 rows, and then I'll be back to show you what my work will look like at that point. Alright guys, after my 9 rows, after this level of increase, as you can see here, this was row 8. Hold on, after this increase here, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one. So that's a total of 9 rows because each box represents 2 rows. So 9 rows after the increase row, you're going to get your stitch markers and you're going to create another increase at this point. So get your stitch markers and mark those lines within the line of increase. As you can see here, this is our increase, and along that line you're going to mark your stitches, the ones in the line of the increase, just like we did for row 16. For row 16, actually this is row 16. So we are going to do the same exact thing. We mark the stitches within the line of increase, and we're going to go ahead and work the waffle stitch and increase at these points, just like we did at row 16. And then after that, we do another 9 rows of no increases. So these rows, the plain rows without any increases. So just track back, use the timestamps in order to see exactly what's supposed to be done. So this is our increase point, and we're going to create our increase. And then continue working the waffle stitch until we get to our stitch marker that will also get an increase. So finish up this row and do your next 9 rows of no increase, and then I'll meet you back at that point. All right, we are done with this row, and this is row 26, the increase row. Now after this, you're going to do your 9 rows of no increases. Make a chain of 2 and turn your work, double crochet into the very first stitch, double crochet into the next, and then 1 front post in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next, 1 front post in each of the next 2 stitches, and double crochet into the next. So you're going to repeat this all the way across and keep working your rows until you have a total of 9 rows after the increase row, and then I'll meet you back after that. Alright guys, we are done with our 9 rounds after our 9 rows after our increase row. So you can see the increase row is at this point, and we have a total of 9 rows downwards, and you should be on the wrong side of your work right now. Now to wind up your top, you're going to do 1 more row on the right side so that you complete this box. You can see this box is halfway. we want to finish it up. So you make a chain of 2 and turn your work, and then go into the same exact stitch with a double crochet, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to repeat that all the way across until the end of the row, and the body of the top will basically be done. So let me just go ahead and finish up this row. This one is just to complete the box at the base of our top so that the waffle stitch can be complete at this point. Alright guys, I'm through with the row on the right side, and as you can see, our box is complete. And you're going to just keep alternating between the 2 rows of no increases until you get the length of the top that you want. For me, this is the last row, and if I take a measurement for my top, it measures about 13 inches without stretching. All the way from the base to the top is about 13 inches. But if you want it longer, please go ahead and make some more rows for yourself so that you get the length that you want. And from here, you're going to just make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, pull through, and then we're going to go ahead and turn our work onto the top side of the top, and we're going to just make normal chains of about 150. So attach your yarn into the topmost corner on one side of the top, and then single crochet into the same exact space, and then make your chain, just a simple chain. Alright guys, I have my 150 chains. I'm going to make 1 more chain and cut my yarn. So this is going to be the strap on this one side, and I'm going to repeat the same exact process for the second side. So attach your yarn into the second corner of your top, and then single crochet into the same space and make your chain of 150, or the same exact number of chains that you have for your very first strap. If you have 200, make sure you have 200 chains on this side as well. Alright, so our straps are done. You're going to turn your work onto the wrong side, or the back side of the top, just like this. And you're going to locate your last increase row. So for me, that is this one, your very last increase row. Along that line, just place a stitch marker, and we're going to lace up our top at the back. So you're going to get the straps that you've just placed and crisscross them so that they form an X at the back, just like this. And then you're going to pass it through the row of increase, and do the same exact thing on this side. So that will form an X here, and then fold over your work and then crisscross it through. You can go in between here, somewhere around here, before you go to the base. So I'm going to also do this, and then go to the base of the top, to the very last row, and lace it up as well. And then from here we are going to make a knot at the base of the top, and at this point you can remove the stitch markers because we no longer need them, just like that. And then you're going to get your darning needle and weave in all your ends. As you can see, we have so many ends to weave in, and after that your top will be ready to wear. Let's see the final look of our modified version of the waffle stitch halter top.